welcome to another episode of
The Struggle is Real.
There I'm your host, Mahalia Torchu.
I'm Erik Francisco Medina.
And I'm Ryan Pack.
All right. Good job on the jazz hands, by the way.
I know.
I'm so proud. Today's guest is someone who Erik and I both adore.
Yeah.
Her name is Joan Rater, and she is the showrunner for Council of Dads, which is a show on NBC if you haven't seen it. You can also watch it on Hulu if you guys haven't watched it. But we are so excited to be interviewing her today because she is amazing. She is a character, and she just really understands story. So we can't wait to talk to her today. But before we dive in to our interview, let's do the topic of the day. So, gentlemen, the topic of the day is going to be movies or TV shows that have made you cry, or at least made you tear up.
Ryan, do you have one?
I would say Lion King, the animated one.
Oh,
where Simba's
Mufasa's
dad,
death.
Mufasa. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It was so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Every time I watch it, I tear up. I'm like, oh, no.
Yeah. I'm there.
Yeah, it's a bad one.
Ooh, I have a bunch.
I have a bunch, but I think one of the most recent ones, it's Coco.
Oh, that was on my list. Yes. Every time they sing Remember Me,
It's
the
like
very last time. Tears.
Oh, man.
Tears.
Also, I guess I'm a crier, but also Moana, when the grandmother dies.
Yeah.
And then, spoiler alert. Well, if you haven't seen Moana,
I'm sorry
yeah,
for you.
Yeah, you should question your life. But when you see the spirit of the stingray.
The stingray
in the
going
oceans,
through the water.
that's
Yeah.
I mean, every single Pixar movie.
That is true.
Yeah.
true.
Oh my God.
Toy Story when Andy leaves and they
Oh
stay with
my
the girls.
Oh, even in I think it was the third one where they're all holding hands about to go into the fire.
Oh my god.
No, that's one of the first or the second one.
No, it's
that's like the third
Really?
one.
it's not the third
It's
or
with
the fourth.
the where the teddy bear is the evil
Oh
one.
yeah, the
Yeah,
evil
yeah.
one. Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that the second one?
No, that's the
that's the
one.
third one.
Because the third one is when they meet the little girl and they
Yeah.
stay with
Oh,
the
right,
little girl.
right, okay,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. So Fox and the Hound.
Oh.
That made
Yeah.
me cry.
Oh man.
Freaking tears.
Throwback hashtag. Oh.
Rugrats with when the Paris one, when all the kids are dancing with their mom and Chucky is standing off on the side by himself.
Oh, no.
Tears. I was like, oh my God, Chucky.
Yeah.
I'll be your mama. I was like 10. I have no business being a mother. But
there you were.
But there I was in tears. Oh my God. I'm ready. Bring on the redheaded child.
I mean, the other one, it's Bambi.
Oh, when the mother.
That one didn't
sequence-
get me as much.
No, it was horrible. When you realize that it was a hunter.
Tarzan.
Oh.
When I was a kid,
Tarzan's
Which
such an
part?
amazing
the
movie.
first
the
in the
opening?
beginning when the parents are
yeah,
eating,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, oh, my
Yeah.
heart. And then so in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Ryan, I know you've never seen it.
Yes,
should
I know
slap
exactly
you
what
for
you're gonna
it.
say.
Oh my gosh.
There are 2 instances in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air that made me cry. One is the episode where Will got shot and he was laying in the hospital bed,
man.
and Carlton had the gun on him, and he was like, "Give me the gun, Carlton, give me the gun." That made me cry. And then the episode where his dad came back for him, and then left again, and
That's
he
the-
had
Woof.
that moment with Uncle Phil.
Man.
My heart.
Yeah.
Gone.
I've
Falling like a baby.
Yeah, I mean, I've cried in 2 shows multiple times. Avatar: The Last Airbender. Everybody should see that freaking show. Have you seen it, Ryan?
Yeah.
You know that relationship of Iroh and Zuko?
Oh yeah.
And that they have so
Oh,
many
gosh.
moments that's just like whoa.
Mm.
And then the Golden Girls had an episode where basically they had like a little scare with Sophia, with the older Golden Girl, and it's just like they were like they were like thinking of moments, and that just got to me because that show is so real and so amazing. But yeah, I guess those are my shows. So apparently I only cry on animated shows,
I can't
movies,
remember
and
what
sitcoms.
else.
Hey, that's.
I teared up a little bit when Michael left The Office. That I was like,
I haven't finished. I haven't finished The Office yet.
come on, that's not a spoiler. Everybody knows that. But
Spoiler alert.
yeah.
Parks and Rec kind of made me sad.
Really?
Oh yeah, the ending.
I mean, I was more sad that it was
The
ending.
ending,
It felt like the end of an era, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh no, come back!"
I think that every time I rewatch Parks and Rec, I just watch season 1 to season 6 and never watch season 7 because you know it's about to end.
Yeah.
It's like whoop whoop whoop.
Oh my God, what was that movie?
What?
Oh my God, it was a movie where the little boy, I think it was Macaulay Culkin, whatever his name is, gets stung by the bee and dies.
What?
And then it was oh my God, My Girl. That was the name of the movie. So in it, it's about this little girl and this little boy. They have a friendship, whatever. At the end of the movie, sorry, spoiler alert, but this came out in the 90s, so
Watch it.
whatever. Like her dad ignores her a lot, blah blah blah.
Okay.
So like this boy is like her only like true friend or
Yeah.
whatever. And then towards like the end of the movie, her best friend gets stung by a bee, and he's allergic to it, and he dies. And she wasn't like allowed to attend his funeral or something like that, so she sneaks into the funeral and sees him laying in the casket. And he usually wears glasses, but he doesn't have his glasses on him because whatever. And she just keeps like saying, "Where are his glasses? You can't see. He can't see without his glasses."
Oh my God.
It's like so heartbreaking. Oh my God! Every fucking time it gets me.
No.
It fucking gets me.
Heart dies.
God.
Wow.
And I'm just like, shit. Shit.
Right in the fields, right in the fields. I mean, yeah. I'm trying to think of other ones, but I don't remember.
I'm trying to. Did I cry in For Colored Girls? I think I was mainly in shock when he dropped.
Yeah,
the
when
children,
she dropped the children,
I'm
you're like,
literally
what the hell? That's one of the most intense scenes that I've ever seen in my
No.
entire life.
Like, I literally paused the movie and went, "What?"
Have you seen The Colored Girls? So it's a
For
basically
Colored Girls?
Yeah.
It's a play, but Tyler Perry did the movie version. It has Janet Jackson in it.
Got a lot of good actresses. Whoopi Goldberg.
Yes, Whoopi's in it. I think Anika Rose is in it.
I think
It's a good cast. It's a good cast. But in the show, there's an ex-vet whose name is Bo Willie. Bo Willie drinks a lot, and he has a lot of mental issues, and he keeps thinking that his wife is cheating on him with like her boss, but her boss is a woman, but he's got some mental issues. And so there was a scene where he was like, "Are these kids even mine? Like, I saw you with your boss getting out the limo," because her boss was dropping her home. And like the scene keeps escalating and escalating and escalating and escalating, and she's like had a hard time trying to leave him because she really does love him, but the man has some serious mental issues. And he takes his 2 young children who can't be any older than like 4 and 6 and hangs them out of a window, and they're like stories up, and he's like, "You need tell me you love me, tell me you're never gonna leave me, blah blah blah." And she's like screaming like, "Yes, okay, I did, like whatever," and he fucking drops the kids.
You're kidding.
Yeah. And they die.
Yeah.
They die.
It's horrible.
Felicia Rashad is in the movie as well, who I
What?
adore. But yeah.
Oh my God.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a crazy scene. I don't think I cried, but I felt like fuck.
Yeah.
Like you felt the gravity
shock,
of what just happened.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It was intense.
Oh yeah, Anika Rose is in it, and so is Kimberly Elise. Kerry Washington as well.
Oh, I do not remember Kerry Washington.
What? I think she was the one that got the abortion.
I know. I remember that iconic scene, but I don't remember.
Or was she the one that got raped?
Yeah, it has like
No,
a
it was
lot of
Anika that got
a lot
raped.
of it, like intense stories.
Oh yeah, Tandy Newton was in it too. Tessa Thompson, she was in it.
No, I don't remember.
She was in it.
Wow.
I don't remember.
Anyway,
There's a lot of iconic people.
yeah, I don't remember. I mean, anything from Studio
Ghibli.
Yeah.
Studio Ghibli.
Yeah, how I hated those movies
Spirited
because
Away.
yeah,
Spirited
Wait,
Away
is it Ghibli
freaked
or
me
Ghibli?
out.
Yeah.
That movie freaked me the fuck out.
Which one?
Spirited Away.
I mean, it's
For some reason, Spirited Away, Alice in Wonderland,
Oh, yeah.
those getting trapped in a different universe,
yeah.
it gave me so much
But-
anxiety and freaked me the fuck out.
But he has like
I couldn't
Howl's
watch
Moving
it.
Castle, My
Oh, yeah,
Neighbor
that one, good one.
Totoro, Kiki's Delivery System, Whisper of the House, Ponyo.
Was
So
it Princess.
Princess Mono.
I
Yeah.
heard it's a good one. I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah,
but
I didn't like it because my best friend growing up was obsessed with this show, so I was like, I don't want to watch it. And now that I'm older, I watched them and I was like, oh, damn.
You know,
Yeah.
oh no, it didn't make me cry though.
Which one?
Inside Out.
Inside Out.
It didn't
was-
make me
no.
cry, but it.
But it hit the feels when they were
Yeah.
It did.
when they were leaving.
I was very
Bing
in touch
bong,
with
bing
my.
bong,
Yeah, I was
bing bong.
very
It's
in
like,
touch
oh.
with my emotions.
Oh
Oh.
man, Bing Bong.
But yeah, I mean Brave from
It was good,
Pixar.
too.
When the moment when they, because you know that she and her mom are fighting and her
Yeah.
mom is stuck as a bear. When she realizes that the possibility of never getting her mom back is super real, that scene breaks my heart. I mean, anything that Pixar does, I think that's let's say just Pixar. What makes you
Just
cry?
Pixar.
Pixar.
Just Pixar.
Yeah, Pixar. I mean, yeah. Well, I guess it was a good list of movies that makes us
Yeah.
cry, right, Mahalia?
I'll tell you, the very first movie that ever made me cry was the very first movie I ever saw in theaters, which was Stuart Little.
That's the Little Mouse, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was obsessed with that movie, but I don't
That
remember
was the
crying.
first movie I ever saw in theaters. I cried because Stuart found out that his real parents were like dead, and that I don't know why that got to me. Well, it was because
I mean,
these-
as a little kid, the possibility of not
Yeah.
having your parents is like horrible.
I was like, his parents are dead. He was so looking forward to meeting them.
Oh,
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, this was a good conversation. We're gonna wrap this up before we all get very depressed and start crying.
Yes.
Emotion.
I'll tell you one other thing that made me cry. Freaking Council of Dads. And speaking of Council of Dads, let's talk about Joan Rater. So Joan Rater is an American television producer and screenwriter. Her most notable work has been for the medical drama Grey's Anatomy, for which she has served as a writer, producer, and supervising producer for over 50 separate episodes. She is married to Tony Fillion, who also works on the show. She has been nominated alongside with the rest of the Grey's Anatomy's crew for 2 Emmys in 2006 and 2007 for both for Outstanding Drama Series.
Crazy.
Apart from her Grey's Anatomy producing and directorial work, she has worked mainly as a writer on television series including Law & Order, Trial by Fury, Fling, Threat Matrix, MDs, and Push Nevada. She has also produced for Law & Order, Trial by Jury, and served as an executive story editor on Threat Matrix and 10-8 Officers on Duty. So she has a lot of experience in procedurals. She even did the show Doubt, which starred Laverne Cox in it as well. And Eric and I both personally know Joan. She also is like another mentor to us, and she has such invaluable insight on the industry. So we are excited to talk to her. She's also like just an awesome person.
Yeah,
period.
yeah, she is.
She's a character, as you guys will see. So without further ado, let's call Joan.
So Joan, we're so excited to have you in our podcast. We're so grateful to have you here. We know it's going to be an amazing conversation. But before we start, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your career?
Sure. I love talking about myself. So my career, currently I am I guess you would call me a showrunner, simply by virtue of the fact that I create my own shows with my husband, who's my co-creator, and then I run them. I came up as a television writer through starting at the very bottom as a staff writer and working on 7 different shows in 7 different years. And before we finally landed on Grey's Anatomy, where we stayed for 10 years. And that's where I really learned how to write television. It was like graduate school for television writing. And after that, we left and we took a number of different deals with studios to create our own content. And we have created 2 shows so far, one called Doubt that was on CBS for 1 season. And our most recent show was Council of Dads for NBC that just aired its final episode last night. So it's a little bittersweet, but mostly sweet.
Yeah, it's such a good show.
Yeah, we loved watching it. It had me in tears by the first episode, and I was like, damn it, why are you doing this to me? But we did really enjoy it.
For that, I'll say, wind back before we came to California. My husband and I went to acting school in New York after college. My husband was a theater director, and we met and we started writing solo performance together because I would always tell these embarrassing, humiliating stories about my lives at parties, about my life, like my dating life, my career, just how demoralizing the whole thing was. And I would have like this rapt audience of people. And so as a way to give myself acting work, I started to do solo performance. My husband directed it. And I was trying to get an acting agent, but I ended up getting a writing agent. And I was like, I don't want a writing agent. I want an acting agent. But at a certain point, I was like, I'll take what I can get. And I realized there's so much similarity between acting and writing. They're using the same sort of creative skills. And I felt, and I guess I still feel, there's so much more control you have as a writer that it was it felt less personal rejection and all of that stuff. And it felt like even in down times, I could work.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Now you transitioned from New York to LA. How was that transition for you? And why did you guys ultimately make the decision to go out there?
So we were in New York for a long time, and we were like true New Yorkers. We were never going to leave. But we were poor. These friends who were moving to LA and like able to afford their rent. And we were working, 3 different jobs. I was working as a legal proofreader. I was working teaching acting. Like I was doing all these 3 different jobs to cobble together a living. We had a child. We lived in 5th floor walk-up. We were struggling. It was the struggle. And after a certain point...
Sorry, my dog is barking.
I'm worried about my dogs. I told my husband. At a certain point, you want to be paid for your work. Like we all understand that we have to put in a lot of free work for a lot of years. We get it, and we even enjoy it. It's so fun to create that you're like, I don't need money. But you reach a certain point and you're like, I need to be paid. And you just sort of know it. It's like with a haircut. One day you're like, oh, my hair's cute. And you look in the mirror the next day, you're like, it's not cute anymore. That's how it was with our career. You're like, it's not cute anymore. And so we just saw these friends having so much success. And we were like, we want some of that too. And a lot of our skills as playwrights lend themselves to TV. TV is it's sort of, there's so many different shows, so many different genres. So if you have an idea, so as a writer, you might have an idea for a character, but you don't have a good place to put the character, or you might have a great idea for a plot, but so it's all of these disparate things that you get in a writer's room, and suddenly they all can come to play. So we ended up taking one of, am I talking too much?
No, this
that's
is
great.
perfect. Yeah.
We ended up taking one of my solo performance shows. We thought, well, they do so well in New York. Let's take them to LA and see if we can get an agent. And we would do this thing where we had this, our son was like 2, and we would fly from New York to LA on a flight that stopped in Milwaukee where my parents lived. We would literally drop the kid. My parents would meet us at the airport. We'd like run off the plane, drop the kid, get back on, and fly to LA. So we were living this crazy life. And we did the solo show, and then we invited everybody we knew in LA, which was like 20 people. And we rented a theater, like a 90-seat theater, and we were going to do 2 shows and get agents, and we called all the agencies, and we sent out the invites, and 7 people showed up at 2 p.m. on Tuesday. And the solo show started with me coming out in a full Amish costume and doing this shit about being Amish. So imagine how humiliating it was. I'm standing backstage and I peek out and I see like 7 people who don't want to be there, right? And I'm about to come out in an Amish costume and I start crying. And I say to my husband, I can't do it. What are we doing? I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. And he's like, do it. Just do it. Just do it like it's the best show ever. So I go out there and do it. And once you're performing, you're enjoying it and I'm getting laughs. And it turned out of those 7 people, 2 were these junior agents at ICM, which was a big agency.
Right.
Wow.
Who loved it and like called us and boom, we got an agent. And I mean, boom, we got it took a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But it was interesting because it felt like we had been in New York for 10 years, really busting our butts and hustling and doing a play reading here, a solo show there, making all the connections. But it was such a small town at the end of the day. Like if you haven't kind of made it in New York in a couple of years, you're not going to make it. And we finally got the memo, and it felt like all of the bad luck we had had for 10 years in New York, like it was like the skies opened up and we suddenly saw, like, how sometimes you'll see a friend will get a job and you'll be like, fuck you. It seems so easy for you.
Yeah.
It's never easy, but sometimes things go your way. And you just gotta stick with it. So one time things are gonna go your way. And that's what happened with us. We had 10 years of like Charlie Brown kicking the football. And suddenly things just started to go our way. And we were ready for it. We had, we were mature by that point. We had shit to say. We had a point of view. We had a lot of material. So I'm actually, hindsight is 20/20, but the way it worked for us, I always say this to young writers who are like, I'm sad, I'm so, such a failure. And then I'm like, how old are you? And they're like, 24. And I'm like, I'm going to tell you something. And I really want you to think hard about this and remember it in your low moments. I didn't make a dime, not one dime as a writer till I was 38 years old. All right?
Oh, wow.
So
Right.
that's a lot of years of like, gee, I hope I make it in this business. I mean, that's a lot of years of persistence and struggle. Now, it wasn't just one bad thing over the, after another. We got enough encouragement and enough little gigs and enough like important people sort of saying, yeah, you guys are on the right track to kind of keep us going. But it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine.
But can I say one more thing?
Of course.
Yes, please.
It is being in the television film, being a creator of content, is the best job in the world. It's the most fun job in the world. It uses everything, your brain, your creativity. Like when you're in it, it's so satisfying, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm always encouraging of people, is it worth the struggle? For me, it had a happy ending, so obviously it was, but it's worth the struggle.
Yeah, Eric and I love to say it's the stress we love.
It is. So you stated that you were a writer on Grey's Anatomy and you created Council of Dads and Doubt. What exactly drew you to write drama? Because those three shows are drama-esque and they tackle tough topics and they invite the audience to discuss it with them. So what exactly drew you to be a drama writer?
Well, I'm kind of like serious as a person. Like I'm funny but I'm not a comedy person. Like I don't know jokes. I don't do jokes. I have a humorous outlook on life, but I also want my work. I mean, I'm going to sound super pretentious, so get ready. I want to be able to say something or move people. Like that's really important to me. Always was.
I don't think that's pretentious. I think it's good that you have something in your mind that you want to tell people. Like there's a message behind the art rather than it just be art.
Yeah.
Honestly, now more than ever, I think we're all in the middle of our own personal existential crises.
Right.
And now more than ever, I feel like doubling down on art as, on our work. It has to mean something,
Right.
Yeah.
It just has to mean something. The other thing that drew us to drama writing was we had a kid. It's a more predictable life than Half Hour. Especially at that time, it was the world's. There wasn't this sort of like single camera Half Hour. It was like those kind of multicam joke.
Right.
Yeah.
And those rooms we understood would be like till midnight every night, and we just couldn't do that. Drama writing in a well-run room is a 10 to 6 job. Obviously when you're on script and things, those hours can be a little bit longer, but in a well-run room, there's no reason it should go, till 10 o'clock every night. And we've been in well-run rooms. And I think it's really important for people to have a life so they have something to write about.
Yeah, of course.
You and Tony are like such a power couple. How do you guys like balance your work life and your personal life? Like how do you guys compartmentalize and work together?
I mean, so how old am I? I'm 57, almost 58. We've had every fight a couple could have. Believe me. So we have come to a really good place, but we earned it, baby, with all those fights. It's hard. Here's a couple of things that we lucked out on. His skill set is literally the opposite of mine. Okay. So we completely complement one another. Whereas I'm like Little Miss writing the script. He's like the big picture guy and I'll get bogged down in the details of a scene and be like, it's not working. And he'll just say, write the bad version. Let's just get the bad version and we can fix it later. He has those sort of skills that I really admire. And I would not be where I am if I didn't have somebody saying, just get the bad version out, because we're all these crazy perfectionists and I'd still be perfecting some bullshit play back in New York. And he, benefits from my kind of vision of some of the creative stuff. And so over the years, we've been able to go, you know what? You do that stuff really well and you like it and I hate it. So you do that, I'll do this, and let's split up the job in that way. We still do a lot of stuff together, breaking story, but I, for the most part, write everything, like the actual writing. I say I do the writing and he does everything else, which is just fine with me.
That's cool. That's cool. when as writers, when we sit down to develop characters, what's the thing that you look for, I guess, in a character when you're writing it? For example, you have Robin in Council of Dads, who has so many layers to her: a mother, a doctor, a leader in her own family. How do you, when you're writing and creating a character, what's that thing that you make sure that every character has?
You know, I guess you want that quintessential, like you look for a moment of humanity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess for Robin, there was this moment where her husband had just been diagnosed with cancer, and he's waking up from surgery in the ICU. She's worried. The kids are worried. His life is on the line. And she says, he wakes up, she's like, the surgery went great and the kids were worried, so I bought them a dog. And it's like this moment of, like, it tells me everything about her, that she's like funny, and so I guess I'm just sort of led by like these little moments that we think of in the writer's room, that add like a layer to a character. I mean, that's not a very good answer, but
No, it's good. It's good.
Or like when you so I was just talking to a friend about a show, and I was thinking, why would this character do this particular job? And because it's a job of like sort of investigating people. And I was like, what would drive her? And I've always been fascinated by people who get their identities stolen, right? And so I was thinking, that the idea of somebody living my life, buying shoes on Zappos and going to Bermuda and as me and living the life I wish I could lead while I'm toiling away here would put a fire in me, And so it's just like coming up with like little interesting tidbits that you hear, and you're always like, that's so weird when people steal other people's identity. So, as writers, we collect all that stuff that makes us so curious. And, it's like alchemy. I find the moment when when you go, oh, that's how it's sort of like you collect all these ideas, you write them down when you wake up in the morning, you write them down in the shower. By the way, I have a shower story. But then suddenly one day, that idea you've been obsessing about all kind of works. So it's like you also have to like honor the magic, right? And allow the magic to happen. So here's my shower story. I heard
I was just about to ask.
How you always get ideas in the shower?
Yeah.
This writer bought waterproof like paper or something, and keeps it right there in the shower to have like, it's genius, right?
It is.
It is.
I need one of those.
A whiteboard.
Those ideas you have, I call them like, marijuana ideas or middle of the night, where you're like, oh my God. And then you wake up in the morning and you read what you wrote down, and it says, the hand is a machine. And you're like, what? And then just like, hello, Dolly.
Oh my God. I want to backtrack a little bit. Can you tell us about your experience on Grey's Anatomy? Like, that's such an iconic show, and it's still going to this day. So tell us your experience on it.
It was, like I said earlier, it was like graduate school, because it was all of these writers. We were all sort of like, not beginning writers, but middle-level writers. Even Shonda, TV was new to her, and we were all like making it up together. And she had such a strong, clear voice that the target was very clear. and that makes a show good, and it makes a job good, because the target is really clear. And so it was interesting, because when we came onto the show, we had been working in like procedurals, like Law and Order, stuff like that, and I can be pretty dark. And so our job, Tony and I, was to lighten the fuck up and to learn that mix of emotion and humor, and allow our humor, and it's like, I was voted most humorous of my high school class. So I'm fine, but I wasn't sort of allowing it into the writing. And over the time working on Grey's, that was something that was really satisfying for me to begin to do. The skill, I always say this, and I mean this, I mean it. The ability to pitch story is like learning a foreign language, and you will not be good at it at first. You won't. And you'll think you're bad inherently at it, and that you'll never get good. And to be able to be on a show for that long and get to develop the skill of being able to learn how to break story was a gift, was just such a gift. Because day in and day out, it was like, some years we had 24 episodes. And so you've got to be able to like, okay, this isn't working. We have to re-break it tonight. So the just sort of the churning it out, you just develop the skills. So that was incredible to work with these actors, the writers were like a family. We all were there. Krista, who was running the show under Shonda, from much of my time there, and then she left and Tony and I ran the show. Krista Vernoff is now back running Grey's, which is like this beautiful sort of thing.
Full circle moment.
Running it beautifully, it's still, because she's got so much, she and Shonda have so much like humanity and humor and pathos. And but working with the actors as well, being able to work with these incredible actors. We left the same year Sandra Oh did, and that was really satisfying to be a part of her very satisfying, I think, exit from the show. So just sort of like coming up together. It felt like that. It felt like, let's put on a play.
That's amazing.
That's awesome, right?
That show also had me in tears. I had to like stop watching it for a while, because I was like, my emotions are being abused.
It's too much. So, what genres do you want to explore as a writer now that you have accomplished so much as a drama writer? I mean, like you said, Grey's Anatomy is such a powerful show, and you have Council of That and Doubt. What genres do you want to explore next?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, we're very much having that conversation, Tony and I, right now, because we're at an inflection point of like, okay, Council of Dads is over. What now? And we have a bunch of different projects. Yeah. All of them are, they're all different. One is a historical piece based on, some of the people that helped Anne Frank stay hidden. One is this sort of, it's not science fiction, we call it science fact, but they're all just about like, at the core, they're about like the struggle. I'm really into the struggle, how people get through the fucking day. I admire, I admire people who are super involved in the struggle and trying to do the right thing. I also like really flawed people. But I've become increasingly uninterested in putting out like bad stuff in the world. It's important to me that things have meaning and hope without being schmaltzy or easy. So yeah, I mean, we're combing our brains, combing short stories. We're always looking for material, and it's one of those, you know it when you see it kind of things.
Right.
That's awesome.
Right now, we're kind of seeing a shift in the industry. So I'm curious to know, where do you think the industry is going to be in 10 years? Like, what do you think it's going to look like?
I have no idea. I mean, that's true. I really don't. I think that I really don't know, but I know that people always are interested in well-told stories. I know that. So we were on, our first job was for Sean Cassidy, who I love, on this show on the USA Network called Cover Me, the story of an undercover FBI family. And we were writing that show, and it was the same year that Survivor came out, the reality show.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Sean was like, this is it. Our jobs are dead. We're over. Because everyone was watching Survivor. And I was like, shit, I just got my first job. I don't want it to be over already. And I know that, because I do. I watch some, I'll still like tune into a good Survivor or a good Amazing Race. But I also want variety. And I'm always going to be the first person to hop onto some amazing new story. So I think that the business is going to continue the way it is, with streamers and niche little niche platforms that writers are always going to have plenty of opportunity. And while it has changed in a lot of ways in terms of how you go about breaking in, the fact is it's still a hustle. It's always going to be a hustle. You have to have a hustler mentality. I mean, I wake up every morning with a pit in my stomach of like, hustle, it just is. So you got to be in for the hustle, but like you guys were saying, it's the stress we love. I guess it's the hustle we love.
True. Yeah. That's cool. So you were saying earlier that you were tired of seeing bad stories in the world. What tropes are you tired of in shows that maybe they just use a lot, or they're just bad tropes that people keep relying on?
Like all of the stuff that's being talked about right now with Black Lives Matter and police brutality. Some of these police shows really bother me because it's the trope of the brown or black person as the bad guy and the cop as the hero. And I think it's time to be to really look at that, be more nuanced with that. When I was, I'll tell you one trope that bugs me is, I'll tell you two tropes. So we've had a transgender character into our shows. In Doubt, Laverne Cox played an attorney, and in Council of Dads, they have a son who is trans, and we have a trans son, my husband and I, and he is our son who happens to be trans, and we want to I think the experience of being trans, of coming out as trans, of transitioning, all of those are valid, and if they're told well, are important stories. But I'm interested in having trans people be lawyers, sisters, brothers, nurses, humans, and their gender is relevant, but not the story. So that's really important to me. And I have seen a real change since Doubt in the public sort of, we want to see that story, ability to just like roll with it. And that's been nice. I think visibility just chips away at people's prejudices, and that's the power of TV. So you see a trans kid on TV, things are normalized. You see they're not scary, all of that. The other trope that I've always really, what's the word? Something against. What's that word?
Pushed
Pushed
against?
against?
Pushed against. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I would write these women, this is, who are all like, I'm anxious, right? Me, Joan Rater. I get very anxious and I will cry. And then the way I present, so I would write these women and sometimes my bosses would say, no, we want her to be strong. And what they were meaning is like some ideal
emotion.
of a man, and
Right.
and I knew every fucking woman in my life who's strong is also so vulnerable. And so the idea of marrying vulnerability and strength and just breaking through these sort of ideas of that vulnerability is a weakness is something that's really important to me too. For men too, like, God damn, if you should have a man cry in a scene, people,
Right.
but men cry, so like deal with it. So just to allow people to fucking have the whole range of human emotions and not sort of judge them as weak or strong or all of these sort of judgments. Just write, more nuanced characters. Is that a good answer?
Yeah.
Yeah,
yes, that was
is.
the perfect answer. And I do want to say that when I was watching Council of Dads, like I did not see it coming that that he would
The grandmother. Yeah, the
scene with the grandmother. I was like, why'd they put a dress on that boy? Like, but it didn't click to me because it was just so normalized, and I thought it was beautifully done because it made it had a message without browbeating somebody over it.
It was really important to us too that that grandmother makes that mistake and has these difficult feelings that she expresses, but she's not evil. And her daughter still loves her, and they're going to move through it somehow. And I think we all have things in our families where we don't always agree on major things, and we find a way in some families to move forward together and still love one another, or try to love one another. And that's true in my family. I mean, there was a learning curve with my family when my son, told us he was trans, but nobody was the bad guy. And that was really important to me too. It's sort of like, we wanted to be able to, especially since we were doing a show in the South, have people express a whole wide range of opinions and hear those hear those discussions, right? I mean, that's what it is at the family dinner table. And wouldn't it be nice to hear loving people have differing opinions and find a way through?
Right.
Yeah.
I think it was very successful in doing that.
I remember some executive was like, oh, Patricia, she's bad. How can they forgive her? And I was like, oh my God, she's her mother.
Right.
She has think about your mother. Don't you have the most complicated feelings about her? It's complicated. Like,
right.
So.
Yeah.
It's your turn.
No, it was no, it's just that sometimes people overcomplicate narratives, and it's so I guess it was so unique to see that conversation happen in such a natural way when you didn't even expect it. It just happened, and it's like, no, let's move on. The kid addressed her grandmother, and he was like, grandmother, maybe you don't understand me, but my mommy does. And
I
I
love
was
the
just
line.
like, oh my
It's
God,
okay.
he's so
You're
amazing.
from a different generation.
Yes.
I love that.
And you can see even the
Yeah.
yes, and you can see the pain, but the love on Robin, and it was so complicated but so natural, and so it was just, I think it was just a great scene. But we wanted to, since we're kind of wrapping up now, we wanted to ask you, what's the best advice that you can give somebody who's trying to get into the industry?
I mean, I love this question. So I have two ways of breaking it down. I have practical advice, and I have like emotional advice or philosophical advice.
That's great.
Practically speaking, you know, it's like I was talking about earlier, it's a timing thing. It's about being persistent about, you know, if you wanted to get it, let's just get some specific for a second. If you want to get into the TV business, it's about getting a PA job or writing a letter to somebody on a show and saying, can I have, you know, can we Zoom coffee, or can I give you a call? And it's making those connections. And when you make them, have something to say, like be a person that you would be interested in talking to, you know, really sort of come to the conversation with, don't be afraid of sort of taking up some space and saying, look, I am 22, but I went to SCAD. We get all of this practical experience. I'm obsessed with horror films, or whatever it is. Like take up some space and tell this person who you are. Make the conversation meaningful and memorable, and develop sort of your point of view, the stories you want to tell, the funny stories you have to tell about yourself. Like our sort of story when we were breaking in was that we were these playwrights from New York, and we were married, and we had a whole patter about it. But it was real patter, but it was a little bit of our shtick that they'd say, tell us how you got started. And we'd act like we were spontaneously answering this question. It was like a react play. So have like practice with people and what makes you interesting, what makes like, because the job is really sitting around in a room with a bunch of other people talking about your life. Like, what about your life is interesting, you know? And if you come up with nothing, then you have then that goes to my next part of how I answer this question. Make your life interesting, and live a life. Fall in love, fall out of love. Get a job that you hate and rage privately on the car ride home about your manager. Be an observer of human behavior. Read everything all the time. Turn off your goddamn computer. Stop playing solitaire and go read the best American short stories. You know, I'm as guilty of like I'm a champion at solitaire, but I'm so pleased every time I sort of dive into a book, or just how awesome it feels and how it gets my brain working and those connections being made. So in order to have those connections be made, you must expose yourself to different experiences. Make yourself an interesting person, you know, obviously write, join a writer's group, get a group of people you trust who will be real with you, that you can show your work to, hear your work read out loud. You know, don't let your first fucking TV job be the first time actors say your words. Get them in your living room, hear it read out loud, brace yourself for how mortifying it will feel. You know, go through all of that. And just, you know, network, reach out to who you know. Do you know a person? Like I am like a big deal, right? I love when people reach out to me. I wish more would, like, because I love helping people out if I can. And I think most people do. We all were new and green and had no idea what we were doing at one point. And so write a fan letter. You just sort of never know. I think if you're getting into TV, you have to be in LA, like COVID notwithstanding, you have to make the commitment to be here because you need to be able to take meetings. So those are some pieces of advice.
Yeah.
That's
great.
awesome. Joan, we could ask you a million more questions, but unfortunately we're out of time. But this has been a wonderful conversation. So thank you so much for being here. But before we let you go, we have to ask you, what is your favorite TV show and your favorite movie?
Oh, okay. All right. Right now, I'm obsessed. Well, 2 TV shows. May I? My favorite TV show currently, like many people, I'm obsessed with Succession. I think
oh my God, that is Eric's favorite show.
They have made those characters so complicated and complex. I love them. Yes. I just watched the season of Search Party, this latest season of Search Party, and it is perfection to me. So that's another show that I love. And my favorite movie, weirdly, or maybe not weirdly, is I can never just give one. I always had to have
two. 2 is fine. Yeah.
The Way We Were and Truly Madly Deeply.
Ooh, okay.
Okay.
Oh, this makes sense. All right. Well, Joan, thank you so much. And we will see you guys next time.
Okay. Bye.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed our interview with Joan today.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
I'm speechless. She's just great.
No, she is. And I think she made a very valid point when she was talking about, as artists, we should have a message. Yeah. So especially nowadays, like it's good to have a strong message in whatever you're creating. So hopefully you guys keep that in mind when you're creating your art. Any final thoughts?
I mean, I guess I that resonated with me a lot, the whole thing about writing stuff with message, right? Because a lot of times we just want to show something because it's cool, and as an artist, that I never understood that. Obviously, I respect anybody who thinks different than what I think, but I think that your work as an artist should always have something to say. That's at least for me.
Agreed. Make sure you guys leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, CastBox, Spotify, any of the 8 platforms that we're on. Please leave a review, a like, a comment. The more you support this channel, the more this channel can grow. Check out our merch store. If you haven't already, get your struggles real. T-shirts, hats, dog bandanas, baby bibs, everything. Get your merchandise, and then you can also become a monthly subscriber as well. Whether it's $1, $5, or $20, every penny counts. $1 million. Every penny counts. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye.